Well, I got my brother Destry's hat on. I lit a candle. I got one of the drums that he made, holding it close to me to keep it warm because I'm going to sing a quick little song at the end. I'd like to thank everyone who came out to Destry's Celebration of Life event at the Railway Club we had this week, and it was awesome. It hit the spot. I know Destry loved how it came together, and I'd love to thank everyone who was involved in any way, shape, or form. Everyone stepped up to the plate, and I'd really love to thank my niece Danielle for stepping up and hosting as much as she did, and the way my sister-in-law Teresa read my eulogy. I couldn't do it because I was having these little mini seizures that weren't allowing me to communicate, and I couldn't even read. So Teresa stepped up and she read my eulogy, which is not a short eulogy. And she did an excellent job. So again, thank you, Teresa, for doing that for me. Now, for those of you who couldn't make it out to the event, I'm going to read the eulogy. And here we go. And action. Destry Joseph Allen Eve was born in Winnipeg on June 16th, 1962. He was the first child that my parents, Louis Galgoczy and Claudette Vandal, ever created. I don't know if they think they knew what they were stepping into. I asked my Aunt Suzette to tell me a few things about my big brother when he was just a kid, since I wasn't even born yet. She became an auntie at only 5 years old. Suzette said that Destry was the most inquisitive, smart, and communicative little boy. Apparently, it was like he would never shut up. According to her, Des asked constant questions about what anyone was up to, like, what's this? What's that? Why are you doing this? Now, why are you doing that? Suzette remembers Des bugging our grandpa while he'd be fixing his truck a lot, constantly asking about each move that he made and why, on and on and on. Grandpa would end up having to get someone to play with Des just so that he could get something done. As for Destry and being so smart, Suzette sure pointed out that kid would sure let an adult know if they were incorrect about something, pausing that person and saying, well, actually, in school, I learned that. Little bugger. I thought it was so freaking cute the way Auntie Suzette mentioned how little Destry developed a thing for pantyhose and nylons. She said Des would end up rubbing those soft ladies' legs and that he was absolutely enamored by women in an actual garter belt, and he'd start checking out their stockings. I wish I could have seen some of that. I also wish I could have seen Destry and Louis as kids growing up. I heard that those two were absolutely inseparable. They started growing up in Winnipeg, where I'm sitting right now, and they grew up here with so many relatives close by, like their young Auntie Suzette. Des and Lou also had a young Uncle Richard to play with, too. He was only a few years older than Des. Then my mom and dad, they moved to BC. I bet those boys loved the excitement of all the things to do in British Columbia, like downhill skiing. I sure remember Des watching it on TV a lot. By the time I was born in 77, Des was already 15. I'm guessing I wasn't exactly planned, but I sure had some awesome big brothers to help raise me. Since Des lived with me more than Louis did as we all got older, Des sure was one of the people to teach me how to be the strong, independent person that I've become. But he'd sure give me the cuddles when I wanted or needed them when I was a little girl. I was always climbing in bed with him. As I got older, I remember him doing things for me, like teaching me how to stand on a chair and wash my hair in the big sink, just like he did. Well, he didn't need the chair. We played soccer, his other favorite sport, and he played me his favorite music. I was just a little kid, but I knew who the Cure were and when they were on tour. I bet I was one of those inquisitive kids too. I must have loved his typewriter because I had one as well by the time I was only 8 or 9. Destry was always artistic and creative. I asked our cousin Lacey what she remembers about Des when we were growing up. She said that he had an awesome aura or presence about him. Des was fun to talk with, and he always had some good stories to tell about his experiences in life. Lacey said Destry was interesting to listen to. I guess he liked telling stories. because when I was still a kid, Des started getting involved in television. That only lasted a little while, but I sure thought it was a pretty cool thing. I even ended up taking classes on media production long after he was done with it. By then, Des had gotten involved in music production, something super exciting. I was a teen when Destry started hanging out with those guys from PEI who had a band called Scare Tactics. I loved hanging out with that crew. Probably the first time I ever touched an electric guitar. Our whole family were huge music lovers. I thought I was going to be a pro musician, so hanging out with Des was the best as his life grew in the music industry. When I was in town, I loved showing up for sound check in the afternoon, whether I knew the band or not. I just enjoyed watching him work, and sometimes I even got the opportunity to help set up, and I sometimes ended up selling swag for the band during that show. Always nice to get a free t-shirt, right? I learned so much from Des about live music, which I loved just as much as him, and that was a lot. He didn't take me to my first big concert, but he did take me to my first and second Bon Jovi concerts. I went to 3 of those. I wonder if he even liked Bon Jovi. Des sure got really involved in club concert scene over the past 20 years or so. Like I said in the obituary, if a musician has toured Vancouver in the past 20 years, there's a good chance Des worked with them in a club venue or even larger events like festivals. Next thing you know, our brother Louis was working with Destry too. Those were some super fun times at so many of those shows. It was 3 years ago when Des and I attended our last concert together, thanks to some of those lucky comp tickets that he could get. Last week, as I was going through his things, I found that ticket for that Alice in Chains gig we went to, and I kept his ticket. He sure was more than just a big brother. It was kind of like a father, uncle, big brotherly type of relationship. Our niece, Louie's daughter Danielle, said something similar. Also, she said that he has always been so easy to talk to and to get along with. After Louis passed away, Destry seemed to step up as an uncle. He kept in contact, cared about her, and from a long time ago was always interested in what she was up to. Destry listened. Even though he was getting sick, Des continued to make an effort, like he realized a bit that he needed to still be available for Danielle. Their relationship strengthened so much over the past few years, and I know what that feels like. It was really hard to believe that 6 months after saying goodbye to Louis, we found out that Destry had cancer. And that's after we lost our mom, dad, and some close relatives to cancer as well. Des was always a warrior during his journey of life here on Earth. From the longest time, Destry thought that with the bit of money he saved, he could go to his favorite place in the world, Turks and Caicos, just one more time. He went there more than once and even brought our mom and niece Danielle over there. I guess that was about 10 years ago. Now I wish I had a passport back then. Des was almost well enough to go there again. He bounced up and down and how he was feeling while dealing with cancer. I swear the guy had 21 lives. I can't even remember all of the accidents Des had in his life and what he went through over the past 3.5 years just with cancer. There's so much I feel that I've already forgotten about him or just wanted to know because I didn't know. So I wanted to interview him. There were many things I wanted to ask. I'm so grateful that Danielle and her partner Kaio were thinking just like me. They got a camera running and took some time to interview Destry. Too cool. He lasted a long time, fighting a fucking hard war. It was okay for him to go. And end scene. Destry may not be here with us in person, but I know he is here in spirit. Our Raven warrior fought hard till the end. He never gave up. My big brother is an inspiration. Bless his soul. Destry wasn't done. If it's true that you can come back for another life after some hibernation in that place some people call heaven. I believe Destry's spirit will be back to complete some unfinished business, or start some of those bucket list things that never got done. To honor his hibernation time, I will sing the bear song in Ojibwe, the language of some of our ancestors from Manitoba, right where I'm sitting right now. They walked right on these lands. We can help his spirit hibernate with the energy or vibe created by this song. The one song I was able to sing at his celebration of life event. But I sang it with some sort of anger and frustration because of the seizures I was having. I'd like to sing it properly to create the correct vibe or energy. All right. Bear song in Ojibwe. Way-ah, way-ah, ho, way-ah, way-ah, ho, yo. Way-ah, way-ah. Way-ah, way-ah, ho, way-ah, way-ah, ho, yo. Way-ah, way-ah. Manitomakwa, Ogobinagose. Manitomakwa, Onesa wena mishina. Wea wea ho, wea wea ho, yo. Wea wea. Wea wea ho, wea wea ho, yo. Wea wea. Sitting with you in spirit, Destry, my big brother. We'll always be together in love. That never ends.